Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Evile, Hell Unleashed, out April 30th on Napalm Records. The album has 9 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and this is the band's 5th full-length studio album. They are a British thrash metal band, a band that's been on a very long hiatus. And because of that, there's a lot of excitement surrounding this record. The singles that they release add to that excitement level. And without going too deep into this review, I just want to say that this album really picks up exactly where the previous record left off. Now, this is an album that from a structural perspective, I don't feel like it's really well put together. It doesn't hurt the quality of the album, it doesn't hurt the quality of the individual songs, but it doesn't help them stay connected either. So it's a little bit of in between. Now, this is an album that could have been a little bit more dynamic, it could have been a little bit more fluid, it could have been a little bit better connected had the track listing been slightly different. At least that's my take on it. And I'll give you 2 quick examples. Hell Unleashed is the last track on the album. I would have had that song in the middle of the record. It would allow the album to be more fluid, it would allow the album to stay a little bit stronger overall and almost create a reset between side A and side B. If you're listening to on the vinyl, that could have definitely been the beginning of that side B. The other song that I feel like could have been moved is Zombie Apocalypse, a Mortician cover. I think this is a track that fits the album, but it fits the album if it comes as the last track on the record. It has different structure, that has a different style. Sound-wise, they were able to blend it into the overall soundscape of the record, but there's just a lot of things that are different about this song, and I think being at the end of the album would have helped the overall record feel a little bit better connected. Now, once you get into the soundscape of the album, the soundscape is incredible. That's definitely one of the highlights of this record. I love the depth that it has and I love how rich it is. This is an album that has a lot of volume. It doesn't matter if you're looking at the bass, drums, guitars, vocals. You could feel everything coming at you in its own lane, but when they come together, it really fills in all the gaps. It's an album that's very rich, very powerful, very big. Each song on this record, as you move from track to track, it just feels like it's exploding or it's expanding. It's just, there's no gaps within the tracks themselves. It's just a very big sounding record. One of the reasons for that is perhaps the merger of thrash and death metal. When you have these two genres coming together, mixing them, and sometimes offering more of one, more of the other, or a little bit of both within the tracks and from track to track, you have a little bit of a larger palette in which to pull from and create songs that have a lot more life, that have a lot more power, that have a lot more sound in them. Also, obviously, the way in which the album is recorded and mixed adds to that sense of depth, to that sense of sound, to that sense of volume. Within the soundscape, there are 2 elements that drive the experience of this record, and that is the drums and guitars. The drums are consistent, but not overly consistent, but they play one role, and that is to create the foundation, the pillars of this record. They create the road and then allow the guitars to travel upon it. That's pretty much what the drums are there for. But the consistency of sound is incredible, very powerful, heavy at times, and sometimes going a little bit outside the box, a few times, enough to really change the eyesight of the listener. So I like that aspect about it because they're consistent, but in their consistency, they go off the beaten path every so often. And when they do, they bring you back into the song. So if you're listening to a track and you feel like you're moving away from it, when the drums change ever so slightly, they bring you right back because it piques your interest, it piques your attention. So I really like the drum sound on the record. I like the execution. And I like these little flurries here and there to just really break the monotony of what's happening within the song. Now, the guitars are super dynamic on this record. They go everywhere that they want to go. Doesn't matter where you're looking at, they are the life of the album. They push the album forward, they create the direction, they are the motor, they are everything surrounding this record. This record goes where it needs to go because of the sound of the guitars and how diverse it is. When you have different styles, different genres at play, it allows you to go in almost any avenue that you decide to take your songs with, and that's exactly what happens on this album. So I like the sound that they have. They have a very driven sound, at times chunky, at times powerful, at times melodic. They really diverge depending on what the track calls for or what moment you are within the song itself. But overall, the quality of execution is outstanding throughout all 9 songs. Very consistent from a quality approach, not necessarily consistent from an execution. The vocals are the most consistent element on this record. They don't change at all. I mean, there's some backing vocals here and there, very few and far in between, but overall, when you look at the vocal track from the first song all the way to the last, they stay on a very linear path. That brings a little bit of consistency to the album, because this is an album that, in my opinion, lives off of the quality of the individual tracks. They're very volatile, they change a lot, they change within themselves, and you almost need something to hold the record together, to keep it as tight, as cohesive as possible, so it doesn't break off and you don't feel like this is more of a compilation than a full-length record. And the vocals, in my opinion, are really doing that role of holding everything together, keeping everything tight, giving the listener a sense of comfort because you know exactly what you're going to get from them, sung in and sung out. Overall, I enjoy this album. I think this is a very good album, and when you look at the individual songs, the strength and quality is there across all 9 tracks. I mean, these are 9 incredible songs. I just feel like the album lacks a little bit of life when you look at it as a whole. This is an album that I can digest the individual songs. It doesn't matter which order they come at me. I can really enjoy the quality that they have to offer. I can enjoy all the mechanisms that they were put together in order to create them. But the album as a whole, to me, leaves me feeling a little bit empty. It feels a little bit flat. It doesn't feel like it has a life of its own, if you will. It really lives too much off of the quality of the individual tracks, and there's not enough of that quality permeating throughout the overall record. Now, once you get into my favorite tracks, let's start off with Paralyzed. This is the opening song on the album. I love this track because once it starts, it's off to the races. It's a very fast, fluid, dynamic track. Great guitar sound. The vocals match the intensity that you're getting out of the guitars. The two really work well together. It's a track that allows the bass to come into the forefront and play a very dynamic role, and you can really hear it at times throughout the track, and every time you hear it, you feel like it's adding volume to the overall presence of the song. The middle guitar bridge expands the track. You add the solo section to that, makes the song feel even bigger, but these two elements are very important in making this song feel complete. Without them, the song would feel very short, very flat, very quick. So these two elements expand the song, make the song feel a little bit bigger. It gives it a little bit more life, a little bit more for you to digest, making the song a perfect track to open up the album with. Next, War of Attrition. The guitar pushes the song. It has power. It's heavy. It's super groovy at times. It's a song that really lives off of what the guitar sound is all about. The drums help this track as well. They give a great foundation for the song and make the song feel a little bit more volatile, and you can feel that volatility not just in the structure of the track but also in the sound that it carries. It makes the song feel catchy overall. This is a track that I really love because it became memorable to me, not because it had a hooky chorus, not because it had a one-line chorus, or because the lyrics were hooky at that specific point in time, or because there was a guitar melody in the chorus that made the song feel more memorable. No, the overall construction of the song, how the song is put together from beginning to the end, the sound, the vocals, the delivery, everything about this song makes the song memorable, makes the song hooky. The whole song is a hook. So I love this track because of how it's put together, how it sounds, how it's delivered. Last but not least, Zombie Apocalypse, Mortician cover, shortest track on the album, but I love what they did with this song. They didn't go too far off of the original. They kept things, from a structural perspective, is exactly the same. You get that more methodic approach at the beginning, you get that explosive part in the middle, and then going back to that methodic approach at the end, making the song feel like it's going full circle. From a sound perspective, it's connected to the original, but it has its own evil touch to it, if you will. I love the guitar sound on it. It feels a little bit more driven at times. It feels a little bit more raspy, a little bit more gritty, but I love how it comes across. It matches a little bit of the soul and spirit that the original track had, while still having a lot of Evil's DNA on it. So I really like this cover. It's my kind of cover, if you will, keeping a little bit of the original intact while making it feel almost like a brand new song by the band that's executing it. This is it. This is Evile with Hell Unleashed, out April 30th on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.